to Conversations and Opinions. I'm Veronica.
I'm Tarvis.
I'm Clarissa.
And I'm Shay. So the topic we're talking about today is paternity testing. Should you have a paternity test when you are in a relationship?
Absolutely.
Mama's baby, papa's maybe.
I really feel like when you're in a relationship, you need to have a paternity test. The reason being because we all had a cousin on your mom's side that actually took care of somebody he thought was his children and found out later that they weren't. But when you're in a committed, trusting relationship, you just believe that that's your baby. And I had a guy I was dating, and he broke up with the girl prior to dating me, and then he broke up with me to be a father to his child. But, you know, I didn't get too upset, and we still maintained the friendship, and he brought the baby over for me to meet the baby. And I was like, that's not your baby. He was like, what are you talking about? I said, that's not your baby. And 18 years later, he lives in Vegas. He called me and he said, how did you know? I said, it was just a gut feeling I had that wasn't your baby. She didn't want you with me, so she chose to say that was your child. So he had taken care of this child for 18 years. So hands down, because not that everybody is truthful, I just feel like, yes, a paternity, it should be mandatory. Before men, women, whomever have to pay child support, it should be mandatory.
Well, yeah, it is mandatory in most states.
Is it?
Yeah, a man can contest the child support order by demanding a paternity test.
Right, but do they do it?
Now, you mean, does it always get to that point?
Right, because people want to have kids. They want to have their legacy. So I don't think too many men are
Asking
quick
a
to
bunch of questions.
Yes.
I guess I'm trying to see how I feel about it, because I guess I see both ways. Because if you're in a committed relationship, I'm looking at like the trust portion there, but at the same time, I guess we live in a world where people are so dishonest about everything. So I guess it's going to come down to what you've dealt with, what your experience was.
Yep.
If you've been burnt,
or know somebody who has,
and it's been too close to you, then you're going to be like, wow, you know, we would have never thought this woman, or, you know, didn't look like they would be that type of person to do that. Right. So you might be like, I'm not trying to go through that.
Okay.
But if your experience hasn't affected you, and you're with this person, you love this person, y'all having a family,
never had any problems,
that might not be your first thought to be like, oh, let me check and see. But I do understand, because I know there's a lot of people out there who are raising kids that they have no idea
That it's not
that it's not theirs.
Look, if it's mandatory, then ain't nobody got no say. My thing is, if it's mandatory, then if you're in a relationship with someone and you have a child, you automatically have to have a paternity test when it is, I guess, legal to have one. I think it should be, because it's a whole bunch of people who don't know that they're raising children that's not theirs.
For marriages too?
Marriages too.
Yeah, I think I'm more in line with Veronica on this one. I don't. It's about experience, and it's about. I would be offended if I were in a committed relationship and the person asked me for a paternity test.
That's why I was trying.
I would feel offended, because.
What if it was mandatory?
I mean, well, then that just means that we would live in a world where it wouldn't even be a subject, because it's a thing. Like, you just have to do it. But for me, even like you just said, even in a marriage, we would have a problem. We would have.
But would you want this, like, so if we had the opportunity of voting, what would you vote for?
If you should make it mandatory,
or not?
I would vote no. Yeah.
I think it's going to be based on, because I would be offended too, in the sense, because it's like, see, my mind goes all wicked.
What are you trying to say?
What person, like, if someone's going to, like, I think of people who I think of famous people who's trying to trick somebody because they want money and stuff like that. I'm like, we in this together. So what, what are
You have that same $12 you had. So what am I getting?
right? So I think, but I understand, like I said, other people's experience is different. But I'll be offended because I know who I am. You know what I mean? So I'm like, it becomes another thing. Like, okay, I gotta prove this to you, and like, what's your reasoning behind wanting it?
I understand what, like, if child support is in play, then I believe it should be mandatory in those situations.
Okay.
Because there are some women who have children, and in some states, it's very unfortunate. If you are married to a woman, the child is legally yours, whether it's your blood or not.
Oh, wow.
Period.
Wow.
So it's like, ooh, that's not fair. And
Wow.
the other way, men who are in committed relationships to take care of a child that the woman knows wasn't his, should she be brought up on criminal charges? I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can go with this. So child support, I do think it should be mandatory. If you are trying to put somebody on child support to take care of a child, it should be acceptable and part of the process to get a paternity test, just so this guy is safeguarded in that he's not taking care of a child that he really didn't
Yes.
father.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Because I didn't know that was mandatory, because you don't hear a lot about.
It's not really mandatory, but most times when a guy is served with the order for child support,
Okay.
the next rebuttal is, and it may not even be them, it's their mama, you better get a paternity test. She put you on child support, or the
Right.
attorney,
Right.
or your representative. Yeah, so I think that's just a natural, are you serving me
Yeah.
with this? Okay, now we're going to make it hard for everybody.
Okay, so let me piggyback on this topic. So with it being mandatory, and just like my friend who took care of a child for 18 plus years, you find out that ain't your child. Should the mom have to repay that money?
Every dime.
Yes.
Yeah,
Of
I
every
think,
dime.
I think that's only fair, because if we're gonna be fair about it, if when it comes to men not taking care of, we want them to pay back everything. So if he did not have a choice and he was doing the right thing, taking care of his child, and now you lied or knew that it was a possibility, then. Yes, then you have some responsibility. I mean,
And you
we
should
all
go to
have
jail
Full
too.
responsibility.
You should go to jail if you don't pay that money back. Just
Yes,
like
because
you
what
make
they
him go
do,
to jail. Yeah,
can't they take
Take
their
your license.
license?
Yeah.
They can't
Can't get your
earn a living.
passport.
Yeah.
I think it should be fair.
you can destroy somebody's life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, especially when people be going back and forth, and then it's not their kid. Like,
Man.
then it's one of those things like, wow. But I think that I think that you're held accountable for your actions. And your action, if you knew was a possibility, then you have to speak up. I mean, that's the only thing. And I know women who have spoken up to say, hey, look,
This may not be your baby.
we not sure, so we gonna see. And so you have to speak up. I mean, because at the end of the day, you're only hurting the child. The child is the one that's gonna suffer.
Yeah.
Especially if that stuff goes on for over.
Well, any
years
child
and
involved
years.
in an embattlement of any
Yeah,
sort is going to be affected.
Yes.
So now we're
Yes.
making it about money. Love is one piece,
Right.
money's another piece,
Yes.
visitation is another piece. It's like I wouldn't even want to take my child through anything like that.
Yeah.
Especially if I didn't think, if I knew there was a possibility that it could be Jim or Brian, it's like
You sit back and enjoy the
I'm not-
ride.
I don't want child support. I don't want child support. It's okay. It's okay.
You don't have to do anything, nothing at all.
Yeah, because that's murky territory right there. Yeah. You're destroying lives out here. People do deserve to be punished for that.
I just feel like I see so many times. I watch paternity court all the time.
Do you?
Habitual. So I watch it, and one of the reasons why I thought of this topic because I was sitting there watching it, and we was trying to figure out what topic to talk about, and I was thinking to myself, yo, we need to talk about this paternity, because people are out here literally either, like you just said,
Destroying
like, you want to
lives.
know what? I don't know who the baby daddy is, so you just ain't gonna have no daddy. You know what I'm saying?
us.
Right. It's just me and you.
I'm your
and
daddy.
then you lie to the child and talk about, well, he didn't did this, he didn't went away, he didn't, truth is, you just didn't know who the baby daddy was. You didn't want to tell, you used to too embarrassing.
So what about them old school situations where the guy brings the baby home, kind of like with your situation, and his mama like, oh, that's not your baby. She don't have our nose. He don't have our this or that. And then the guy goes and gives the baby up only to find out that it really was his the whole time, because looks and features literally mean nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
And nothing. I have a friend who is adopted. She looks staggeringly similar to her sister, who is their birth child. She found out she was adopted and was just outdone. Like, I'm talking about completely outdone when they told her she was adopted. She looks so much like her sister. It's like similar, so almond-shaped eyes, the same hue of brown, similar body type, and they were literally completely adopted. So features don't necessarily mean you belong to us or you don't belong to us. And we know that we are black, and we know people who have said, yeah, my mama said that with my baby, so I was 17 and I left it where it was. My grandma said that ain't our baby. He don't have our this or that, and I left the baby where it was. So there's some people who got the short end of the stick. Listening to people too.
We grew up in America. Black people in America, we are a mixture of a whole bunch of everything. And so when you have a child, you don't know what's going to come out. You have a combination of two people that are from the same culture situation. That baby can come out all different types of complexions and hair, like straight, long, curly, whatever.
So you don't think the DNA plays a part in it?
So we're not talking about DNA.
No,
we're talking about
like
looks.
them fake paternity
Right,
tests.
that's what I'm saying. Because some DNA is dominant, and you can see it in every child.
Yeah. But how do you know? How do you determine someone's life off of looking at them and seeing that they have their daddy's nose?
You can't.
Like, I mean, yeah, you can look just like your daddy, but you cannot look just like your daddy.
And be completely the child. Yeah.
My son looks just like me. And
But has his daddy's color though?
yeah.
Yes. Yes.
But
Yep.
but it's one of those things like you don't necessarily always know. I think women like that are I have a lot to say about women like that too, because that's, to me, is something within when you just already written off a child based off of what they look like.
Yeah, that's silly.
Because if your son has had any type of relations with this person, then that should be your question.
Yeah.
And if so, then your next step is what do you need to do to find out if this is your child, because it is a possibility.
Yeah.
Not because the child has red hair.
I could have, y'all, my son, I promise y'all, the whole time he was in my stomach, I thought he was going to be the most brown. I legitimately, when he came out looking like he looked, I was like, oh, that is not what I thought, because I just knew I was going to have a very chocolate, you couldn't have told me he would be not what
Chocolate.
Yes. And he was nothing like that. And I'm like, dang, because I'm looking at all the lineage on his father's side. I'm looking at the lineage on my side, and I'm like, he's probably going to be really, really brown. And he wasn't. So looks don't mean anything.
Let me just say,
at all.
I was watching the paternity court for Lynn. I think it's Lynn.
Judge Lynn
Toller.
Oh.
Man, when I tell you, I be like literally like trying to figure out if I can do it according to just the look. And so I'll be like playing this game with
Like
my
on
own
Morning
self.
when they
Like,
put the side by
I'll be
side
like, yeah, I know. I'm telling you right now, half of the people did look like that person
It wasn't
in some
the baby.
kind of way, and it was not their baby. Half of them people ain't look nothing like neither one of them, and it was their baby.
Well, then that goes back to what you said, that paternity should be mandatory. Because if it's not, then you could be taking care of someone else's child.
You think it should be mandatory in all relationships?
I think just unmarried, to me personally.
Unmarried, if what? If you want child support, or just unmarried?
No, I just think that if you are not married to this individual, and I think that a paternity test should be taken of just to cover both people.
I have mixed feelings, because yes, I would be offended if my husband questioned.
Now, husband is one thing.
But
Not according to them, because
You know.
committed. It was committed.
really, that's what they on right now.
Everything.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
But I just feel like
Don't let nobody knock you off.
I know.
Man, I just feel like we are so selfish to the point where we knowingly and unknowingly do things to hurt one another. So even in a marriage, you may slip out and you just pray, oh, that was just one time. And then all of a sudden you pregnant. I just feel like to dismiss any questionability, I really feel like.
But both the relationship and the marriage?
Yes.
Well, I got one for you. Because while you saying that.
Now, separation, if y'all was separated, then that's one thing.
Well, I got one for you.
Yes.
I was watching this show, and I don't even know what I was watching, but it's, okay, so this man, his wife and him had older kids, and then they had a child later in life. So this was their youngest one. She passed away all of a sudden.
The wife.
The wife.
Okay.
Months later, a man comes, he gets papers sent to him saying that they need a paternity test because that he believes that child is his child.
Now, what made him do that?
The man?
The new guy coming into the picture like, that's my baby. Like, what happened?
I guess he pretty much,
And
if
he
you
wanted his
sleep with
baby.
somebody, you know that that's your child.
He
because
wanted, okay.
So
That's why
the man, the supposedly father, the husband, thought that they had a great marriage.
see?
And this is the child that he raised.
Yeah.
And that he looked out for. They just, the court, they went on years in court over this little boy. It turned out to be the other man's child.
See what I'm saying?
And she went
See
to her
what I'm-
deathbed with that.
You see what I'm saying?
And he had to leave the piece. He was left with those pieces to pick up, but he, ended up winning because he was married to her. But it was a hard fight. But it I'm trying to be fair because it doesn't matter.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't. Well, it doesn't. It doesn't matter
Marriage
where
doesn't necessarily
if you're married or not. People still do what they want to do in relationships.
Exactly.
So. Yeah, that's why I said I'm conflicted because I don't know, because I would be offended because I know who I am.
Right.
So it's a personal thing for me, but I understand when I hear these stories, like, whoa.
But here's the thing: if you know you, and you know you haven't stepped out, then there's nothing to be.
Yeah, but there's still a feeling of being irritated. It's a trust thing.
No, I'm not saying you can't be, but if you know you haven't, then there's nothing. Okay, you want one, go ahead.
But see, my thing would be why. Not because your cousin or your friend, y'all was talking, because I don't want to be compared to another woman.
But you said something that was profound, and you said your question was what made that other guy come back. So to me, I don't know the show you're talking about, but the lady had to have said to him at some point, I'm pregnant. I don't think it's yours. I think it's my husband. And then you said another point that resonated with me when you said they thought they were in a good marriage. Again, conversations, and you don't know if your spouse is stepping out.
Now say the next thing. Say the next thing, girl. Say the next thing, because I know come on, go ahead. You got to take the pulse of that relationship.
But I think even with these conversations, even with these conversations and checking the pulse, some people still do what they want.
Exactly.
To do.
But here, the reason why I keep saying the conversations and checking the pulse, because at some point, enough is going to be enough for you.
Right.
And you can walk away by saying, I tried, I checked the pulse, I did this and I did that. Because let me be clear with you. If that was me, I don't know what I'd do at that gravesite. I might have to dig her to put her back down. Because, he thought he had a good marriage.
Yeah. I mean,
maybe he did, and maybe she just did.
I'm like, are you kidding me?
But it doesn't mean that they didn't have a good marriage that, let me just say this. So,
why you saying you? Because I want to hear what you got to say too. Go what now?
I don't condone people stepping outside of their relationships. But what I will say, just because if you watch a lot of movies, I watch a lot of movies, and just because a person steps out doesn't necessarily mean that they didn't have a good marriage. Sometimes situations you can be in a
$4 million.
situation
I agree.
or find yourself in a place where
Oh, Jesus.
wait a minute, I just listen to what I'm saying, because I have grown and I understand sometimes, even though I don't agree, even though I don't know what I would actually do if that happened to me. But what I'm saying is, it doesn't mean that your relationship was bad.
Right.
It could just mean that in that situation, in that moment, there was
You made a weird choice.
you made a bad choice.
Yes.
Because we all make bad choices. You made a bad choice and you did not pick your family at that time.
And
Wait, because you said you agree. So I got this $1 million question. Since all three of y'all, because I am.
She said though.
let me
Let tell you what you gonna say first.
before you ask the million question.
Okay, go ahead.
Because you have people who've been married for like 50 or 60 years. We don't know what people go through in their marriage. We
Correct.
truly don't know what people go through in marriage. And we be looking at people like, oh, they had a great marriage.
It was long.
Beautiful.
Yeah, because it was long.
Don't mean.
So I think, and good is, what does good mean to you? Because the truth of the matter is, you're gonna overcome something. What your something is, I don't know, and it's up to you whether you stay in it or not. But at the same time, I'm not saying that I don't believe it's a right or a wrong or right answer. It's kind of like what Erica Campbell's sister said. Like, I don't think that she was wrong for staying with her husband. I don't think she was right for staying with her husband. She did what was best for herself.
Okay, so the $1 million question, Clarissa, Manietta, and Coronata.
I'm Shay.
Shay, I'm sorry. You two are married, but pretend you're married. So if your husband stepped out, that wouldn't be a problem.
That's not what we said.
No, that wouldn't be a problem.
Okay. No,
That's a
ma'am.
yes or no.
No, it's not a yes or no.
It's not a
Yes or no.
Because y'all all
Just
agree.
because my husband steps out doesn't mean I wasn't a good wife and that I didn't provide a good space for him.
And that the relationship
he made
was
a choice
bad.
somewhere else. That has nothing to
That's
do
what.
with.
Listen to
me
the
having-
question. That
Yeah.
No, I heard
asking
it.
It's not saying that the relationship is bad. He made a bad choice,
Yeah.
or
Right.
she made a bad choice. Whoever stepped
Because it's a
out.
problem that wife stepped out. That is a problem,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean her husband was lacking anything.
Unfortunately
Right.
for them, it's
That's not necessarily true. That's why conversation. Because granted, we're all physical human beings, but when you make a conscious choice
Yep.
to go out and cheat, you're right. It has nothing to do with your spouse. It actually has to do with you. I can say that because I was on a show about cheaters and I was the one that cheated.
Okay.
So it had nothing to do with my husband. But he felt some type of way
Naturally.
because I did it. But what probably could have saved that, or we had the decision to not be together, is a conversation.
I don't agree, because here's the thing. Great relationships all the time have little blips. And you mean to tell me, I don't know who your celebrity crush is. I don't know who you've been crushing on for the last however long. If I happen to be, or if my husband happens to be in a place where
That's your past.
Neil Long,
The past.
or somebody who he has been, and he has an invitation to go hang out and he takes the invitation, am I saying that my husband cheated? Yes. But does that mean I was a terrible wife and that's why he did it? Oh, if you had a conversation with me, you would have known I didn't want you to have that great time with your celebrity crush. It has nothing
we
to do with
blame the
me.
other person.
Yeah.
That I know. I'm hoping that all of you have seen Indecent Proposal.
Yes.
About the $1 million.
Yes.
That changed everything.
But
in
they
the
made a
relationship.
choice together to do the indecent proposal. They made a choice
Right,
together.
but my whole point is, it changed.
We're not saying it's not wrong.
Yeah, the wife was wrong. She had the baby. Like,
Yeah, we're not saying it's not wrong.
But that
We're
doesn't mean her
saying that
husband
That
was
doesn't
a
mean
piece
that
of crap.
marriage was horrible.
It doesn't wipe away the whole marriage. It doesn't wipe away what the marriage was before that incident.
And he has to come to terms with that because she's no longer here.
Okay,
But-
so you guys can push past that if it happened to you.
See, you
No,
But you can't, that's not a question somebody can answer just at this type of conversation. That's not something that you can just answer. That, oh, can that just happen? What I'm saying is that...
I'm just asking your opinion.
Well, the husband didn't push past anything because the wife wasn't there to push past anything with.
Right.
We're saying that just because the wife cheated and had a baby
Doesn't mean their
that
marriage
the
was-
husband, because he may have been a great provider, he may have asked her and took the pulse. Baby, do you love me? Am I doing everything right? Yes, you are doing everything right, and I love you.
And she just made that choice.
And I went in that
Made that
bathroom
choice.
at that
Okay.
restaurant and did what I did, and that was that.
In the
it had
bath.
nothing to do
neither
with
one
you.
of them the evil and the devil. It's just the fact that, you know,
She made a bad choice.
Yeah, she made a
and
bad
something
choice.
came out of her choice, which is what happens to most of us.
Most women.
So a lot of
Okay.
people have made that bad choice and their husbands don't even know.
Okay, so should she have told her husband?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I'm just curious. Y'all
Because
know I be
now
devil's
you have,
advocate every
at,
time.
at some point you have to own up to it. She's married. Now you have a child. Something has come out of this affair that you had. You have an obligation now to. You gotta grow up. You
Yeah.
gotta be like, hey, this is what happened.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do? Whatever. But yes, unfortunately, they didn't get that conversation. But yes, I don't think that when people like. I was listening to Tia Tamera and their parents got divorced, and I don't know why they got divorced, but she was saying how
I didn't know that.
they had a great marriage.
Okay.
Just because someone didn't make it, don't mean that you just say, well, oh, this was. Now some people have horrible marriages,
Yeah.
but then some people's like, we left on good terms.
No, you said that you had experienced an affair in a marriage situation. Did your husband do something to push you out the door to cheat?
No, I admitted it. That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
that's what we're
Sometimes
saying.
it don't have nothing to do with the other
It had
person.
everything to do with me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But do you think your marriage was horrible?
Absolutely not.
See, that was the point we was making.
Anyway,
So you made a mistake, and
Because you're not the devil because you
I'm gonna keep it moving.
you know what I'm saying? But you gotta think about it. See, you're not the devil's advocate. You're not the devil because you
I'm
did
just
something wrong
saying.
in the
And
relationship.
at that time, I wasn't mature enough to have conversations. That's why I'm so big
You
on
push it now.
I push it because I feel like had I had that conversation, I would probably still be married to this day. But I had to, I'm being real vulnerable right now. I had to learn to love myself. And I love that I do love myself. I love that I have pruned relationships, because when I tell you nothing and no one, including my mama, is going to disturb my peace. Because when you understand that peace is the most valuable thing you can have in today's society, you ain't trying to get it up.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I just like to say that, you really are all correct. And that it doesn't mean that your marriage wasn't a good one. It's just that you got caught up, fell on it, did whatever.
That's it.
That's it.
it.
I'm just saying. So let me keep it 100.
So some of those have evidence and some don't have evidence.
Correct.
Hers just happen to have
Sauce buried and all that stuff.
Yeah.
She.
So I was
noticeable.
Yeah.
So y'all,
right. Y'all
what do
right.
y'all think?
our vote is split.
Our vote is split. I'm still a no. Don't be asking me to take no test, because this is yours. So yeah. Comment, subscribe,
Yes.
like, and please share in the comments your opinions on these things, because we like to hear from you too.
Are your
So-
experiences? 'Cause
Yes.
I know y'all
Yes.
got some.
Yeah.
Yes.
As long as
So-
you pay for it, as long as God pay for it, I ain't got no problem.
Yes, indeed.
Amen.
With that being said, as always, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching Conversations and Opinions.
Bye.
Bye.
with it.